Today, I want to talk about work. I want to talk about good, honest work. And what do I mean by good, honest work? Well, I suppose, and this is just my opinion, of course, and I know that a lot of people may have their own opinion, and quite rightly so. They ought to have their own opinion. We derive our opinions, don't we, from our life experience and from our parents, our mums and dads, friends, relations, and all those sort of people. And I guess I've, over the years, from the various people I've interviewed, from the various people I've worked for, from the various people I've met, I've formed my opinions, and of course from the various books that I have read. And I want to talk about good, honest work because really and truly, and since Julia and I have bought this piece of land and started to labour on it in the old-fashioned way with principally old-fashioned tools, it has given me an insight to old-fashioned work. There's a lot of videos on YouTube about the meaning of life, about what it is to be alive and to thrive and all of those sort of things. And I think I've just fogged up the image by smoking the pipe. And yeah, it seemed to have... I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But it's a moment to sit down and relax a bit. Anyway, it is what it is. That's a bolt that's just dropped to the floor that I'm using as a tamper, because I'm constantly losing my temper. Anyway, to get back to the point, for what it's worth, there's a lot of stuff about the meaning of life and what it is, and everybody will find their meaning of life. And I speak for Julia and myself, getting onto the land has been, in the last couple of months that we've been able to do this, has been the most joyous experience of our lives. Now, I always thought it would be, because when I grew up next to a farm, and the farm was a working farm when I was very young, and then the farmer died and it became derelict for a long time before it was sold off. And as I grew into my teens, it became an adventure playground for my friends and I to go and muck about, build camps, make some Super 8 films, all those sort of things. And ever since a kid, I've had this sort of affinity with farmland. And as you may know, I've made the Bald Explorer, where I used to go rummaging around the landscape, looking at heritage, landscape and nature. But for fear of turning the whole place into a foggy room, I have put myself into the wrong place, really. But anyway, working the land in the way that Julia and I have has been rewarding, but I would say surprisingly rewarding. We get knackered, yes, of course. Our muscles ache, yes, of course. We struggle with certain things and we scratch our heads and think, how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that? But actually, when we come home from that experience, it is so amazing. It is so satisfying. And also that thing about sitting down. We've just had lunch. And I'm sitting here in this armchair that was given to us in this little shelter. And we're just sort of thinking, isn't life wonderful? In the end, you don't want for much, do you, really? I mean, people are chasing these goals that they set for themselves. And I think sometimes these goals are not really what life is all about. Perhaps when you're younger it is, and as you get older and more mature, you start to realise actually all of that is kind of meaningless. Does it make you happy? And happiness has to be, I suppose, a satisfaction, less stress, less frustration, has to be perhaps what the meaning of life is. And good, honest work with these old-fashioned tools has been so rewarding. Yesterday, I was out on the land with the scythe, and in the English Couple you'll be able to catch up with the scythe. It's not until I think episode 6 or 7 that it pops up properly, and yeah, we're both a bit rubbish with it because it's a new skill that we've got to learn, but it's actually quite fun and rewarding to see what you can achieve with your own hands, without anybody else, without big machines. Now, yes, in the video I made recently, I was talking about my generator and the chainsaw that is enabling me to chop larger bits of wood. But that doesn't mean that I'm chopping all bits of wood like that. I'm chopping many with a simple bow saw because it gets the job done. It's a bit physical labour, and the stuff that we're constructing in order to be able to do the little bits of farming that we're doing, it's just simple. It's just a simple life. So I just really wanted to share with you that while a lot of you have followed me talking about some of the problems in the world and then some of the solutions in the world, and many have sort of come on board and understood where I'm going with all of this, as indeed I have after interviewing lots of people. But some people are still they don't quite understand what it is, or they reject the ideas or the suggestions, things like jurisdiction or money creation, or even health issues and natural health remedies and things like that. And that's fine. We're all on a different journey at a different place. And all I really am trying to say is that coming onto the land for Julia and I can see now, having been here for a bit, is such an amazing tonic, is such an amazing privilege. And it's also quite primeval in some way. It's that thing about, as I've talked about so many times, about being responsible for yourself, that it's really down to Julia and I to make something of it. And I know that a lot of people have said, oh, you know, it's difficult, and you'll find it tough. And that's true. I'm not saying it isn't. But what I'm saying is that despite the toughness of it, it is rewarding. Now, you may then turn around and say, well, wait till you've had a very cold winter. Wait till the crops have failed. Wait till, the rain comes down, there's mud everywhere. And you're absolutely right. That may well happen, and probably will. And will we in 6 months' time be able to sort of return back to you and say, actually, we enjoy it still? I don't know. I can't vouch for it. But there's a hint that this is right, and it's right for Julia and myself. Whether it's right for anybody else, I cannot possibly say. And I appreciate that some people will not be interested in this kind of content, talking about land and discovering plants and growing things, discovering ourselves in a different way, and that's fine. There's plenty of other channels who are still doing all that old stuff. But I do think that this is now, where I am in life, is very much my passion. And I've spoken about passion passionately many times before, and I probably will carry on to do that, because we'd like to inspire those that would like to do this to show that it isn't as tricky or difficult as it seems. And yes, you've got to get a number of ducks in order to be able to achieve these things. And of course, over the years, slowly but surely, behind the scenes, Julia and I, we were doing that. And we're now here. We haven't got any money left, and it's a struggle. But I cannot tell you how rewarding that is. And that's really the message that I'm trying to convey across here. And I'm not doing very well. But this is so rewarding. And I do hope that you'll continue to follow, watch. Oh, thank you, Julia. She is making sure I don't cock up, especially as my lighter has disappeared. I've lost one. I'm now using Julia's lighter, my lovely pipe lighter. And so this is a new phase for this channel, a new phase for Julia and me, and hopefully for some of you, as we try to get out of the jurisdiction that has been holding people back for so long and into a life that's just magical. So thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.